So basically, I'm calling this asking questions. I am going to edit it and put it together and see what I think of it at the end. And then I'm going to try and get Mike next, and I'm going to talk about owning a comic book store and the trials and tribulations of that. Because but when you talked about like being a GTA,
Hmm.
like role player, that really piqued my interest. I was like, oh, um, that's really interesting to me. How does that work? Like, how do you how did you get into it? I guess like questions like that I think are interesting. And then like what happened to make you, because you have said that you're not doing that anymore. So like what happened to sort of push you out of that? And I think that would link into the social media stuff that I wanted to talk about a little bit because I've got 6 months reflection on quitting social media. Well, about 5.5 months because I came back to Twitter maybe 5.5 months ago, April, I think it was. So, just like what that did and what I have on reflection of that, and also, you know, um, yeah, just reflecting on the what I've learned from that period of time being off of Twitter, particularly in movie talk space as well. It's been an interesting experience for me. But first, let me do the whatever intro I'm going to do. Maybe that was the intro. I feel like that was the intro. Asking questions. That's all I'm going to do. Ask questions and see where we go with it. So today we have Stormy. Many people would know her from either my channel or from the Great Council. And we won't mention the aforementioned reason why we know each other anyway, because that's not important to this conversation. Um, but welcome Stormy to the first podcast of Asking Questions.
Hello, thank you for having me here.
So yeah, getting into the role playing. So what got you into roleplay GTA?
Oh my God. Okay. What got me into GTA roleplay was honestly like during the pandemic time when we were just all in lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
Streaming was really like booming and everything. But there was so many channels, as you know, that popped up. Movie reviews, book reviews, game reviews, hey, let's look at this subscription box, murder mystery, everything started popping up. Then I started to see like I was watching I was watching this D&D session go, and then all of a sudden like I had gotten recommended a GTA clip. And I watched it and I honestly I always in all honesty, GTA is one of those games that I love. Like GTA is a game like I absolutely adore playing. And I remember even back then, when I would play GTA like on Xbox and everything, I just remember wishing I could play it online and like the people that you have a shootout with and stuff like that, that you can be able to go ahead and actually play with them. And so that's what this world actually created was, people that you can actually play with. And so that I watched a couple of streams, I watched a couple of people do it, and then after that, I was just like, "Oh my god, this is like something that I really wanted to do." And I so happened at that point in time, I was in my nephew's little Discord call or whatever, and somebody went ahead and they were just like that they were like, "Oh, you have a very pleasant voice." I was like, "Oh, thank you." And they're like, "Would you like to come into the Rust server?" And I was like, what's Rust?" And I did not know what it was at that time. And they're like, "Well, it's a game and blah blah blah. It's like a survival or," and I was like, "Sure." Well, it so happened I played Rust, and then from Rust, I got invited in, and this is the Rust server that the OTV and Friends had. And then from there, I got invited into playing GTA RP on the No Pixel server. And I got invited. I did not want to feel like I had special treatment or anything like that. So I was like, hey, I know there's a white list. I know you have to get accepted and you have to apply and all this kind of stuff. like, I'll definitely do that. So I went ahead and created my character. I sent in my application, and I automatically was, accepted. And yeah, and then after that, it's kind of history where it happened, with my character and everything.
Hmm. So what is GTA roleplay? Like, is it what you think it is? Like what I when I kind of thought of it when you say GTA roleplay, I was like, oh, you like go into a server or you're on a server with a bunch of other people, and you basically it's kind of like role playing, like games in real life, like D&D, where you'll role play the character and you'll speak like the character in D&D and like interact with the other teammates in D&D as that character. Is that similar to like what GTA role playing is?
Okay, so basically, GTA roleplay is you have to kind of think of it as you're voicing a character in a video game. So basically, you create your character from scratch. It's a video game that you're playing, and you just have to think of it as literally you are just voicing a character that's, a gangster or, a business person or a civ or whatever you want to go ahead and do. But basically, GTA is just it's not just, because you have some D&D roles where you have to literally use your imagination. This is more of you can visually see it happening. You're playing the video game, you're voicing an actual character, and you're actually creating a story behind your character. And you're in real time always developing arcs, always going on these little adventures. You want to do a bank heist. You're basically when you go in the city, you're giving $5,000 and you create your own character at that point in time. So you can have it as a male or female. And you just basically build up around that. And so the servers that you get on to be whitelisted, and so people that don't know what whitelisted means is that it means that you've been vetted, basically. It means number one, either you're a role player in other servers, like meaning they've seen you play a character before. And so when it means a character is nobody that's really like bland, that's just like you're literally a character. You can be eccentric, you can be, a serial killer, you can be whatever you want to be. But you have to basically embody that character. And it also follows the same role play rules that you would do any type of board game. But that's the difference is that this is not a board game. It's actually a video game that you're playing and you're just voicing a character that you've created. And so when you do that, it's a little bit different because you it's in real time. The difference I always say that the major difference is that when it comes to GTA roleplay, it's like a TV show you're watching. And if you're streaming it, if you're the lucky person that gets to stream it, you get real time feedback from your chat as to what they don't like or what they do like about what your character's doing. And you could just be going in there just to have fun, but all of a sudden you have now entered a world where you have a sea of parasocial people that think that these characters are real and they have not grown very much attached to them. And every decision you are now making is somehow affecting their lives. And so that's where the role play community, I'm not talking about D&D, but role play when it comes to you role playing a character on a video game, that's when you get into a very toxic environment. The RP community when it comes to GTA or Red Dead Redemption, which people have seen my character in Red Dead Redemption. If you've done Wild RP, you've seen Slow Burn. I do Slow Burn RP as well, which means Slow Burn RP means it's very much a long, drawn out story, a lot of drama, a lot of dialogue, and literally you're improving the whole time. So if somebody's coming to you to talk to you, you're off the fly as to what you're going to tell them or talk to them about. You don't know where the conversation is going to go. You don't know if the story, you don't know anything. So it's very much improvisation. You're not allowed to script anything out. Now, for me, if my character were to get into a relationship or something like that, then I would literally OOC or, basically, I would message the person, the streamer that I am getting in a role play relationship with, like the boundaries that we've set and to make sure we're both comfortable. And hey, if we're both wanting, if it gets to be too toxic, meaning not between us, but between our chats, we will go ahead and just end it.
Mm.
And it's unfortunate because, like a lot of people have said, the RP community is very much where when I first started role playing in GTA, I loved it. Oh my god, I loved it. I created a character that I adored. Like I loved playing her. I called her my alter ego because she was very much um she was very much a person that didn't take any shit, you know, very much called you on your shit, very matter of fact person. Very much very quiet. But she was one of those people that anytime you did interact with her or she had those moments and she let her guard down, she would have those silly moments with you, and those were the clippable moments that people would love on YouTube, you know, because they were just like, "Oh my god, her character!" Like, you know, this is when she gets really comfortable with somebody. Like, you know, these are the little moments. Like, these are great. She'll start to troll or she'll start to do this and that.
So did
But my
you
character,
like have a different
mhm.
voice for her, or did you have your like did you put a different voice on?
Yeah, I did. I put a different voice onto her where I was not like this at all. Like I had more of my I don't know how to call it, but the voice I would do for her would be like, okay, I'll give you a scenario.
Mm-hmm.
My character basically was in a gang in the No Pixel server, and it's a pretty prominent gang. What I mean is that these people, these role players, created this gang in the server, and that gang, I I want to say that they are the most nicest guys I've ever met, and I am so happy that I crossed paths with
Are you
them.
talking about the real
And I'm
people or the role play
yeah,
characters?
that no, the real people and the actual role players.
Yep.
Because the actual characters themselves took my character in and
Mm-hmm.
showed her things. And then even OOC out of character, they sent me a message. They're like, "Hey, just want to let you know you did a really good job today on role playing. Let me know if you need any help." Blah blah blah. That was just so nice. You know what I mean? It's like
Mm.
it's like that's what I'm saying. I'm like I can say it was in character as well as out of character because in character they were the nicest people to my character. Out of character they were the nicest person to me. You know, but I'll give you a scenario. Like basically she was my character was basically going ahead and slinging meth, and she was she was cooking she was cooking meth or whatever, and this guy comes up and is like, "Hey," because she's standing on the corner and she's selling weed in the meantime because she's waiting for these people to come pick up their meth that she just cooked. And then she basically, this guy comes up to her just like, "Hey, you know, can I go ahead and buy some weed off you?" And I was like, yeah, I was like, sure. I was like, I go, how did I do it to her? I was like, well, we can go out and do this shit. I was like, if you want to do this shit, we can do this. I'm like, but don't be coming to me. I was like, and telling me, I'm like, you got my money, you don't got my money. I was like, because at the end of the fucking day, I was like, if you want to talk to me a certain way, we can talk, we can do this shit. I was like, but do not. I was like, do not come at me and try to tell me that you don't have the money and then you try to give me some bullshit. Like I would be that character that was just like in your face. And my background of my character is that she is Latin, and she very much comes from what did I say that she came from? Oh, I did pretty much put that she was from the South. She very much was a character that would call you on your shit. She was and my character at that point in time literally like handcuffed him, stole from him just to get her money, and then did not even give him the product. And it's like I created a character that was so feared that it was not only feared but respected, because at the end of the day, she was a character that would literally give you the shirt off her back. Like if you were in her gang or you were like she was right there, like she would literally do anything for you. But outside of that circle, she wouldn't do much for you. And so, but that's the exact opposite of me, because for me, I'm not that way. I help everybody. It's my profession in real life. I can't do that, and I can't be mean to people. But I always say that the character that I made on there was a younger version of myself because the younger version of myself was somebody that nobody wanted to be around. She had attitude, she thought she knew it all, and that's kind of something that I created with this alter ego I had.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Like, a lot of people, whenever they go in the server, they have different voices for their character.
Yeah.
They'll do a Southern one, they'll do a New York one, they'll do,
Well, you sounded
French.
very Latino to me. Like it sounded very
Yeah.
Latino. Like out
Yeah.
of the movies, like the atypical
Yeah. A
Latino one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So and you have people that are British over there. So you're dealing, and then the server within itself has other branches. So you can go to Spain and meet people, from Spain server, and it's so refreshing to see that and to see how much, because a lot of people have stated that role play in the GTA server has helped them a lot, which that's wonderful.
That's good.
But yeah, but once you get to a character that's very popular,
Mm.
uh, what happened with me is that
So we're going to
she
pivot
no
into
longer
the negative side of it now. Like we've talked about the positive
is.
side of it, we're about to pivot into the negative side of roleplay GTA.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Well,
okay.
we can go there. We,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
can go
Well, I
there.
mean, I'm just asking because you sound like when you get popular, like with anything, when you get popular, people start coming along to either troll or be negative or be hateful. Like, this is what happened. This is what happened when I was running the YouTube channel. Like, the same thing happened to me. So, I'd imagine as you get popular as a streamer, the haters do come. Like,
It
um,
does.
yeah,
It does. And but the thing is though the end note that I can say is that I've met a lot. My character in the No Pixel server got to RP with XQC, got to RP with Pokimane, got to RP with Valkyrie, got
nice.
to RP with all these really big streamers that literally were all new to it.
Yeah.
And it was amazing to interact with them because they were all really great RPers. But the negative side is it is a community. That's the number one killer of it. Um,
It
it
sounds like
literally
every single like
it
YouTuber
is
or streamer like
it is
experience. The
it
community is
is
what kills it for you. Yeah. It's like the good
the thing
side of
is
it and it's the bad side. It's both. It's like the yin and yang of like being a content creator in general, I think.
it is, and I'll tell you why. And you're probably gonna be like, what the fuck? But like I said, my character was a character that basically I did get into two relationships while I was role playing. And
So let's talk about
one was
before you get into that. What is a like so role play relationship? You talked briefly about it, like you communicate with the streamer or the person offline, the real person that you're going to get into a role play relationship with them. So what is so talk about that like so you talked about there's limits. There's like so what is like that? What does that conversation look like? And is it to better both of your streams? Like it's to better like obviously make
uh,
your characters more popular like or is
yeah,
it to
it's just
it's like fandom, it's like they're shipping you together and you're like let's do it like
oh my god, oh my god. There's just oh my gosh, there's just like so much to dive in here. Oh my goodness. But
all right, let's
let's
start
go
with
ahead
let's
and
start
go.
with yeah
Let's
let's start with
go.
yeah let's start with let's start with what does a conversation look like offline, like between you and another streamer or a content creator, when you're going to go and do like a role play relationship.
Well, I'll say this. I've had two different ones. One where I was approached to do it, and this was just based out of he was part of another organization, another gaming, organization.
Hmm.
And they thought that his personality would be great for marketing for his character. So we
Right.
had the OOC conversation of our two characters basically dating, but it had to happen organically inside a role play or it wouldn't make sense. So,
No.
that didn't take place until like 2 weeks later.
Okay, so pause just on that. So when you're approached by that and they're like the org is like, oh, she'd be really good to promote your character, do you get like do you do a negotiation for payment or like do you what do you get out of it? Like do you get like popularity too? Is that the that because I
Yeah,
know
it's like a
yeah.
trade off. Yeah.
What's the
Yeah, you get
exchange like of goods here? Like because obviously it's to promote him.
it.
So
It's to promote him, but it's
yeah,
also to create content.
right, and that in turn promotes you.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it promotes you. It promotes your YouTube channels, your Twitch streams,
right.
whatever.
Yeah.
Because then, if you're role playing with a bigger streamer,
Mm,
and I'm not going to say what his name was, because what it was is that my character was supposed to be coming in as a love triangle, basically.
hmm.
Basically, my character was going to take away him, but that did not happen because, well, we will go ahead and talk about that too. but um, but the conversation starts of, especially if it's OOC, and if people don't know what that means, out of character. What happens is that you send a message like that. You shouldn't. It should be the norm that you do this, especially if you're going to role play with somebody inside of if you're going to go ahead and enter a relationship with somebody in RP, you're not talking about OOC here. It means that the boundaries are set. Like, please don't call me baby, honey, sweetie. Don't say that.
Right, even as a
Don't
role
talk
play.
special. Yeah,
Yeah.
don't. Or people's limits are don't sexualize anything, or don't troll too much. That's my limit.
Okay.
Those type of things, those are boundaries that you're setting for that person. That way they know, so they don't make the role play uncomfortable.
Right.
That means that you guys can create stories together, but let's just not hit these boundaries at all.
Yeah.
Let's just go, these are safety. And you have that conversation with somebody.
So what
And
were
you
your
also have the conversation.
limits? Like what were your limits? Like did you have hard
Mm,
limits?
yes, I had hard limits where no sexual talk whatsoever.
Okay. So it was like
And
more it was more romancing, like inside the game, like a romantic sort of thing.
yeah, but mine was a very toxic character. She kind of was the one that's just like, oh my God, I remember this. Okay. There's this. Okay. So we had that conversation. He was like, he goes, okay. He was like, good. He was like, we could do that. And so, I, I remember that my character, right? Like, it was like it was this. I'm laughing because I can remember it, because I remember after it, he called me and he could not stop laughing. He goes, when you pulled up, you scared the shit out of me.
Like in
So
game.
yes,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
game. Okay, so basically in game, he's with his gang and they're at the gas station.
Hmm.
And again, you guys have to visually look at something that's like you're playing the GTA game, even if it's through Xbox, whatever you're playing. You're playing a GTA game, you're just voicing that character. So that's kind of how you're setting the scene. So basically, he's at the gas station, right? And he calls me and he goes like this. He's like, how did he tell me? He goes, oh yeah, yeah, I just want to let you know. He goes, I'm gonna be busy the whole day. I'm just gonna be with the boys. I'm gonna kick it, blah blah blah. And so my character was like, I go, uh-huh. I was like, I go, so you're gonna kick it where? He goes, we're just gonna kick it. He goes, he goes, I'm gonna be on boys. He goes, he goes, we'll do a date night tonight. I was like, oh yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure. I was like, right. He goes, well, why are you with the attitude for it? I was like, not with an attitude. I was like, so what are you doing right now? I was like, just curious. And he's like, oh, he goes, well, we're over here just eating. He goes, at Burger Shot. I was like, oh, okay. So I knew he was lying because I was there. I was across, like, where I was set up was, I was literally like in a parking lot with my girls at that time. And so we're watching this whole thing happen. I'm like, so he's walking and they have these NPC bots in the game where it's just like, it's not a player, it's just like a game bot that's just walking. And she stands right in front of him and she starts like basically like dancing very provocatively. And he starts dancing like, basically acting as if like he's dancing with her. And so then my character basically, I see this because you gotta imagine me and my girls have binoculars looking. I was like, oh, this motherfucker did not. And I was just like, so I pull up in a car and then I start like screaming his name, which I'm not gonna say, but I screamed his name. Oh, I was like, so this is what the fuck you doing? I was like, this is what the fuck you doing. He goes, oh my God. He goes, where the fuck you come from? He was like, huh? He was like, and then we had an argument right there. And then I left, and then I remember like I did a BRB on my stream, but I wanted to see his reaction. and his reaction was stun locked, and then he was laughing. And then his boys in the car were like, "Oh, you got caught. You got caught." And he's like, "Man, I love that woman." He goes, "She." He goes, "All you do is fight with her." He goes, "I know, I love it. I love it." It's gonna be amazing tonight at our date." Started cracking up laughing because I was just like, that moment right there was a clickable moment. It gave the audience content, that drama for that split second. And then you have people that are in our chats at that point. That's when I first got the taste of the toxicity, where people came into my chat telling me, like, um, how can she be so possessive over him? Like, you need to get over yourself, this
Wow.
and that. And I'm just like, how could you do that to him? He's so faithful to you, blah, blah. And I'm like, you do realize I'm not dating IRL, right? It was like, you do realize we're just playing a game. Like, we're just creating content, we're just passing time, we're just, we're here to basically,
Entertain.
yeah, we're just entertaining you. Like, it's not that deep. Like,
Mm.
literally, he sent me a message. He goes, "Oh my god, that's fucking perfect. That was fucking perfect." And then I talked to him later that night and I told him, I was like, "Did you get any chat hoppers?" He was like, "Yeah." He goes, "I got the RP frogs." He goes, "They came into my chat." He goes, "They were like, you deserve better, blah blah blah." He goes, and I had to like literally like talk to the parasocial Andes. He goes and tell them like, it's not that deep. Like, her and I are friends outside. He goes, it's not deep at all. He goes, our relationship is toxic. He goes, it's supposed to be like that. He goes, it's to entertain you. And I had to have a conversation on stream and say, look, relationships that are healthy relationships with healthy boundaries that are not toxic are meant for IRL. They literally are, because those are the foundations that make your relationships great, and help you with your mental, and have a lasting, impact on you.
Mm.
Toxic relationships, I was like, are for fantasy, role play, and GTA. I was like, because why? Because we fucking entertain you with it. It's a quick laugh, it's a quick funny. There's nothing. I was like, absolutely nothing. And it was as far as like, I actually, like, I will also tell you this, that I've had conversations with people, like I said, I've only had like two role play relationships. Both of them, they had girlfriends and wives IRL. And I talked to them, and I was just like, look, I just want to let you know I will not like cross this boundary. They're like, I see. They're like, and a couple of them, they told me like this. They both of them said the same thing. They were like, the way we see it is you guys are both acting, and they go, what we've seen on stream. They go, it's funny. They go, it's not. They go, we don't. It's not something that. It's not crossing a line. It's not crossing a boundary. You go, you guys are not being sexual. You guys are not doing anything like that. It's just funny. It's a toxic relationship. I was like, okay. I was like, I just want to make sure. I was like that. I don't disrespect your relationship. So it's like, again, it's having those talks with the people that you're role playing with to make sure that they're okay, that their home life's okay, that they
Yeah.
don't get any shit on, for something. So, but yeah, but that was the first taste of me having like the over invested viewer
Mm.
that literally they I had people in my chat that told me, "Hey, I stopped my cable subscription, or I stopped paying for Netflix. I just watch RP all day." And I'm like, "That's not good. That's not healthy."
No, don't
Like,
do that. Yeah.
yeah, it's just like, they go, "It's just the stories that you guys all have." And I'm like, "Yeah, but there's no way you." I was like, and I'm like, and I read that comment in my chat, and I was like, "Sweetheart," I was like, "Okay," I was like, "This is me." I was like, "This is Stormy." I was like, this is my actual name. This is my actual voice. We have like 275 people in the server right now. 275 people with different stories, different things they're doing right now.
Yeah.
You cannot keep up with that, and it's not healthy to do that. I was like, so I'm flattered that you guys love to follow, my character's journey, but please know, I am nothing like my character. And I make her with a different voice, I make her so far from me. So that way, you guys don't, you guys can see the healthy like separation and know the difference. I'm like, that's why I only will go ahead and say her by her name. And
Yeah,
I'll
but
say, like, hey,
it's also fun to be bad, Stormy. Like it's fun. Like when you're in GTA
yeah,
and you're blowing shit up, it's fun. Like it's fun to be bad. Like like
it is.
it's
It
in a
is.
make
It's
believe
like,
world. It's like I can do whatever I want. Like I can outrun the cops. Like it's fun to do bad things, but you'd never do these things in real life. I always said GTA is
right.
like the It's like the postal, like, because they made this game called Postal a while back, and it was about like some government worker that went postal and just started murdering everyone in the office, right? And it got banned. but like, but like, I thought GTA is like basically the stress relief for people that have a lot of anger. They go home and they go into a make believe world and they just kill people. Like, you can pull people out of the car and shoot them. Like, if they stop at the traffic light, like stuff like that. It's like it's a make believe fantasy world. And it's like it's fun to be bad sometimes. Same with like Red Dead as well. It's fun to be bad. Like it's fun to be a bad cowboy, you know. Um, but yeah, I think that people, yeah, overinvestment in streamers in general, I think has exponentially rose because of the pandemic. Because of people had nothing to do but sit at home and watch other people play games.
It is. It is, and it's just like it's one of those things that we're like one of the things or one of the rules in role play is that if you get into GTA or Red Dead Redemption, you have to create a dialogue first before you kill somebody. And that basically initiates RP with the person to know even if you're going to kill him, just to kill him. You got to say something first. And so for me, it's like my character was very good at shooting, very good at hacking. I mean, she was a number one in, the server. And, I would do that. But it's like my second role play relationship I had, um, that's when it got to be like too much. Like where my character was no longer mine anymore. She belonged now to the parasocial Andes out there. She
Mm,
belonged to those people now because I literally could not do anything. And when I tell you I couldn't do anything, Baha, like I couldn't. Me and my character broke up. Like my character's boyfriend, we broke up because of the fact that we had too many overly invested people that they fell in love with our story, which is it's amazing. It's great. I mean, if you're a writer and stuff like that, and you create a story that somebody like, cries with,
yeah.
you're like, oh, that's great, that's amazing, but this is not real life.
Mm.
And so, we had very much ones where it's like my character went on a date with her ex-boyfriend, and it's like I kept on saying too, my character's not a good person. She's very toxic. She loves drama. She's gonna, do stuff to shake up, blah blah blah. And you know, eh, they were just like, how can you do that? And then they would go into the guy that my character was dating at the time. They would go into his chat. They were like, oh, you should see what Arya's doing right now. You should she's on a date and blah blah blah. And it got to be where he was like, he would have to put a disclaimer. He would just like literally have to pause his stream. He would like, stop backseating. I will
Mm.
find out in RP.
Yeah, that's the
Please let
point. Like that's the whole point.
yes.
Like you're ruining it. Like if you like the story so much, then her backstabbing him in the game in the role play is something for him to find out so that he can do something in the role play to like deal with that. Like that's if you
Yeah, and they killed
yeah.
it. Yeah, and they killed it. They killed the
Yeah,
story, and
that's
like,
like in D and
yeah,
D, the game master like coming over to one of the players and going, "Oh, by the way, in a couple of days, there's going to be like a demigorgon that appears like in the
yeah,
cave in front of you," and just tells them like, and you're
yeah.
like,
It's like
"You've just
spoiler
spoiled the
alert, right?
game! Like you've spoiled this! Like it's like you've spoiled it!" Yeah, like yeah, it's like anything.
Eh,
It's like going into a movie and then at like right at the first act at the end of the first act you yell out in the cinema what's going to happen in the third act like for everyone, it's just it's dumb. It makes no sense, but yeah, they got so overly invested they wanted him to react to it immediately, I think. um
yeah,
they wanted
they had
yeah,
no patience.
yeah.
They had no patience, and it got to be so much that we were just like they would go into my chat. They're like, you're a bitch, you're this and that. How can you do that? Da 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 da. He does everything for you, and I'm like, oh my God. So it got to be like so much that people were like adding me on Twitter, sending me DMs saying how horrible
Oh
a
my
person I
god.
was. Yeah, and so it got to be so bad, and he and I had a talk, and I'm like, we got to break them up. I'm like, you're not good with your mental right now. He goes, and it's not because we didn't want to. We actually honestly, he and I talked about it. I told him, I was like, look, I'm not going to tell you what she's going to do to him or anything like that, but let's just put it this way. I'm like, if the story progresses the way we want to, I'm like, I can tell you something. I have like 6 or 8 months of story in my head of where I want to carry this arc. I'm like, if you're up for it. He goes, fuck yeah. He goes, we can do this. He's like, we vibe well with each other. He goes, yeah. He goes, I can do that. He goes, and then he goes, and then he would tell me, he goes, I could easily see it going for that long. He goes, if we keep the story up and everything. I was like, yeah. And I had brainstormed like literally like on pen and paper, like that's how I was doing it. I was just like a different arcs he and I could do and what we were gonna do. Like we were gonna go. Like I even told him after we broke our characters up. Like I told him like, dude, I had a whole serial killer arc for me and you. He goes, what the fuck? I was like, yeah. I was like, we were gonna kind of do like riddles and shit like that. And like I was like, your character's a gun dealer. I was like, so I thought, hey, I was like, let's get it. Let's incorporate it both together. Let's do torture chambers, stuff like that. He goes, fuck. And I was like, so we talked about it after we broke our characters up. We talked about what we both had planned.
Mm,
And again, the community is what caused us to not, because it wasn't good for my mental, it wasn't good for
mm,
his. I didn't want anybody, like I don't want my character's actions, because then you start to actually like feel it. You're like, I don't want my character's actions to put anything a mental strain on you at
mm.
all, just because IRL in my profession.
Yeah.
I just can't do that. And so now
The you would say like the lines of reality get blurred a little bit, like
yeah,
like because you're like,
yeah,
oh, because you're doing things in the game to stop things happening in real life, like
yeah,
to sort of limit the effect of real life affecting somebody. So it's
exactly.
crossing over into reality instead of just being make believe.
Yeah, and it's just like that's the downside of role play. I mean, and if anybody has been on Twitter, you know that No Pixel and the role play community as a whole, the past couple of months have been, trending. There are bad sides of any RP server. I don't
Oh,
want to just say it's No Pixel.
so
Um,
can you speak to that? What do you mean by it's been trending?
it trended because there's a couple of streamers that got banned.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of big name ones.
Yeah.
One, we don't know what actually happened. We just have vague details, but from what I've heard of stories of people that have come out as the role players on the server have stated, they were approached by him for sexual,
Mm-hmm.
advances, um, things of that nature. Now, from what the owner of the server states, he says that it's far worse than what we think. It's not. Those are just the tip of the iceberg, basically. And he's used the term of he's a psychopath. So we don't know what's happened. There's also, misogyny. There's racism in it. There's homophobia in the game as well. Uh,
Well,
not
you mean
talking
like
about.
in-game part of the game, or as in part of the roleplay communities? There's homophobic people in there.
It's kind of both,
Okay.
because sometimes, yeah, because there was a clip I saw one time where somebody had asked me to react to it, and I was just like, okay. And so like I saw the clip, and it was my server, that I'm role playing in,
Mm,
and this girl, she's walking out like in lingerie and stuff like that, and she's about to rob a bank, so all of them are all like in lingerie, and he goes, this one guy, this character, comes up to her and drives up to her and says, if you keep dressing like that, I'm gonna have to put you in handcuffs, and do you like do do you like you really need to be done, because your dirty mouth really needs to be cleaned. And it's that kind of talk that happened. Now again, this is not the character's fault or the role player, because basically you again, you have boundaries, and
mm,
that's still a human person behind that character. Again, that's an alter ego, that's a character they want to play.
mm,
If the scene does not set that, why are you being gross?
mm,
Why are you, you know um and so again, there are people that RP like that, and they try to get them, you just basically report them, and then the admins, they see it, and then they will kick that person out.
mm,
The same thing is like, so, or you have people that are homophobic in the server, and they will say some very nasty things,
mm,
about people. But a lot of the stuff that's come out the past couple of months have been people have said things behind closed doors, and then DMs have been leaked about what they actually think of a role player. So it's made it really uncomfortable for two people to want to role play, especially if they know what you actually think of them behind closed doors.
Yeah.
So so is that. So but again, this is not just for No Pixel. This is for all RP servers,
Yeah.
because these people that got banned off off the No Pixel server for being just disgusting people, disgusting human beings,
Mm-hmm.
they are now role playing in other
Yeah.
servers.
Yeah. Yeah. That
It's not
makes
like
sense. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
not like they're not. It's like yeah. So
They're not banned eternally from GTA or roleplay. They just go to other places where they are accepted. And
yeah,
yeah.
and if people want to really, if like some people have asked, they're like, well, how many different servers are GTA role player? I'm like, there's a bunch of different ones. You have a 1930s Liberty City one where you can play, in a time period in 1930s. You
That's
have the
freaking
1970s
awesome.
and
That sounds
1980s.
amazing.
It is, and I've seen people. I now, me personally, I can't do it, but I've seen some role play off those Liberty City servers that are taking place in 1930s. Amazing, amazing clothing, amazing character, amazing stories they have. I applaud them. I'm like, hey, you do it. I'm like, I can't do it because I can't commit to that time period. But you go off, and I've seen people. There's 1970s servers of GTA, 1980s. So it just like it's like the GTA 5, has taken on like and
A life of
evolved
its
on itself.
own. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. With all the mods and stuff that are out there, you can do so much stuff with it.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely. And so yeah, it's just so yeah, I mean, if people do want to give it a try, you should absolutely do so. But please keep in mind, it's not. You really don't know what you're getting yourself into until you actually go in there.
yeah.
Um,
I think with all
but yeah,
content creation, you have to be prepared for like toxicity. Like you gotta like anybody that's done it for a long period of time. You have to. There's people that can handle it, and there's people that can't handle it. Like, um, speaking of which, I guess, um, why? So you don't roleplay GTA anymore, correct?
I had the very I want to say that the
Like big
day that
time.
yeah, I permed my character. My character is permanently dead.
Yeah.
She died in the only fashion that she could die, which is on
Okay.
her own term.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, she went from like epic because like I will say this. I had the pleasure of Anthony Z, which if anybody knows who that is, he's a wonderful streamer. I told him I was like, hey, I was like, I need you guys only because my character is gonna go out with a bang, and he goes, let's do it. He goes, let's say goodbye to her, and we had an epic, bank to meth run to go to a helicopter and then jump out, and then as my character's jumping out, she is blasting the helicopter with the gun, and she winds up, shooting the helicopter. The helicopter blows up, but she, ultimately, dies to her death. And I
Mm.
will tell you that day that I had to perma my character was a day that I cried. Like she was a character that I loved playing. It was a character that I didn't even. She started off just lock picking cars and just chopping cars to doing that, and it was just like it it pains me because again, she had a lot of stories to tell, but unfortunately, again, it was like she didn't feel like mine anymore. It's like I was making decisions not for her or what she would do, but more so that these parasocial toxic Andes would like basically not be. I didn't want to basically cause anybody stress. So I was like, you know what? It's better to just, move on.
Mm.
And I can always go back, and create another character, and do something different. But right now, it's like I'm taking time off from doing it.
Yeah. So you
But
perma killed to quit.
yeah, yeah, I perma killed her because I was just like, it was a hard, like you have no idea, Paul. Like that day, it's like the D&D. Like whenever like I had my character, and the day my character like died, it was like
Mm.
I cry,
Well, it was
and mine
like
was more.
I
It was
like.
like
Yeah. Go ahead.
it's like a baby, that you've created, and
Mm.
you created the story, and you've put like so much thought into and story development, and
Mm.
then to see say goodbye to that. It was like so hard for me. I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah,
Like,
I feel like I can empathize a little bit because like the day that I deleted every piece of content from my channel, like from what it was, um, like that was it was like a bittersweet moment for me because it was like, okay, I'm deleting all these memories that I made with
yeah,
people. I'm deleting like something that can never come back. Like I've got a few videos saved, but like I've deleted like basically a year and a half of like time spent with people, like laughing, yelling, debating, whatever it might be, but like fun times too, like really like fun, really fun times. And like, so it's like it was a bittersweet like thing for me, but it was also a necessity. Like, and I think I can sort of
yeah.
understand
No, you
your
can.
opinion on this one, like where like you're like, hey, it's sad to do this, but it's a necessity for me because I don't need this anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, because it's like that old, it's like, I can go ahead and tell you this. Like, it's like, you know, your old YouTube name, you know how you made such a name out of that
Yeah.
old YouTube
Yeah.
name?
Yeah.
That was you know what I mean?
I
Like
had to kill
everybody
it.
knew you just
Yeah.
yeah,
They
you
knew me as
basically
that
you
persona. They knew me as that
yeah, you
persona. Yeah.
and people don't realize, I don't think, that you can have as people that are streamers, not all, but some have a streamer personality and an IRL personality.
Mm.
And it's like killing that streamer personality you created, that you made people laugh at, you made people engaged in. It's like saying goodbye to that.
Yeah.
It's very hard. And I think anybody that's ever had something that they put their heart into and their creative side into, to say goodbye to it, it's very hard to do. And so I think anybody can relate to that.
Yeah, for real. I think that anybody does it like and changes pathways, it's like a bittersweet thing. Like it's and it kind of I guess um when we finishing out like the role play sort of thing and moving more into like social media. The the reason to do it was like there was a lot of reasons for me to do it. A lot of reasons. But like that was one of them too. Like the association with that name. And like, yeah, part of like there was a certain part of me that was that channel, like that was truly me when I was on stream, right? Or on video. Um there and then there's other parts that like aren't me anymore. Like because I've taken the time to grow offline. I've taken the time to do things to better myself personally. So I sometimes there's videos I look back on that I have saved and I go, who was that person? Like that person 6 months ago is not me now. And I feel like that is a statement of growth. And you're quitting the role play thing wasn't about that from what I pick up. It was to eliminate the toxic nature of the
Mhm.
community from your life because it started to affect you offline. Which I think I got to be honest, that's one of the reasons why I deleted everything because I didn't want to be associated with certain people. I didn't want that name to be associated with me anymore. I didn't want people to look at up that name and see me. Um, yeah, or like that my channel name that is. Because people just you people knew me as like the guy that would scream about things, you know. That was me. I just go on these big rants about how much I hated things. And it's like yeah, it's kind of changed now where I just enjoy movies what they are, or I don't enjoy them, and I don't feel this pressure to to criticize them at the end of the movie. Like I watched Fast X last night, and it is dumb, stupid fun. And Jason Momoa is the shining star of that film as this flamboyant gangster man that makes these jokes that are just so stupid but amazing. It made me laugh every time. And that movie is stupid. It's not an Academy Award movie, but like I knew what it was and I could go in there and enjoy it without putting some critic hat on, expecting some Oscar performance from people that, say three lines in a movie in other movies, you know. Um, but yeah, that I think with the GTA roleplay, I think that it's kind of sad like that things end that way. I guess where you're forced to sort of end things, because you told me that you had like a Twitch rep and like you were pretty big time. Like I don't know, I've never seen your streams. I tried to find you once, but you're so deeply hidden. I think in the internet sphere, they're like I didn't know where to find you, even under your name on Twitch. Like I was like,
Yeah.
where is these streams? I want to watch one. Because you mentioned previously that you were doing it, right? But I never got to actually see you live or see you play with anybody because I was just like, but to be streaming with people like XQC and other people, you must have had some impact in the community. So I guess they would have felt your loss when you perma killed. Like, did you get messages about that? I'm sure you
I
did.
did I did from the guys that actually, like I said, that embraced me a lot and
Mm,
that took me in. They checked in with me. They were just like, are you okay? Is everything okay? We heard this and that, blah blah blah. And I was just like, I I basically I was just like, it's a day that it hurt, to say goodbye to it. But it's just like it was one of the things that also, like, back to, like, Twitch and, like, basically being a big deal and stuff. It's like
mm.
most people know, me from, like, 100 Thieves and stuff like that. But it's just like, again, when you're part of an org, it's like, it's like, how do I put it very gently? When you sell out, you really don't want people to see you selling out. So it's like so my stream, my Twitch was not even created by me. It was created by the org. My
Oh,
Twitch name was created by the org.
there you
I
go.
had to do the sponsor streams. And it's like it is just like every single time, like, I had to do a sponsor stream, I could literally see, like, either Lunga or Yellow or somebody's face, like, looking at me like
Groaning.
like, just judging
Eye
with the
rolling.
face.
Yeah, eye rolling.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and so I didn't want anybody to see me during that time do these things. I literally did it. I was just like, I plus I was like, it's like I had even told, like, like, my nephew and stuff, because my nephew went on a stream one time and he was just like watching it, and he saw the comments and stuff that people were making when I was RPing,
Mm,
and he felt a certain type of way. I didn't want for you, I didn't want for Yellow, I didn't want for anybody to feel the need to defend me at all. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
just like, it's like, yeah, it's not worth it. I'm like, I already know what I have to do. I'm just prolonging this. I know I need to perma her. I just have not done it.
yeah.
And so once I got out of that cycle of doing, now I do more behind the scenes with the org, which is great. I get to now, like, basically figure out what I want to do from this point forward with streams. Like, do I want to do back to gaming? What do I want to do?
Mm. You're kind of in
And
the
so
same
that's
place
like,
as me.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
kind of, you know what I mean, though. It's kind of one of those things where you're just like, okay, what do you want to do? Like,
yeah,
how do you, which is refreshing because it's like the fresh start. It's like, okay, what do
yeah.
I want to do now?
Because it's like experimentation. It's like because I'm like experimenting with this, obviously. Like I did a few Twitch streams. Like I'm just experimenting with like what makes me happy, what I don't want to talk about, what I like, and also like how to control the content to not make me feel stressed, I guess. And like there's been a couple of Twitch streams that I've done that I felt super stressed afterwards. Um, like, and it's just been like, oh, this is like because of like I don't want to go extreme as PTSD, but just memories of the past that I was just like, yeah, I don't really want to experience this kind of chat again. Like, which is it's interesting, but yeah, it is. It's like it's all experimentation. Like it's cool to sort of be able um to fresh start it. But yeah, like I was saying, like you didn't even advertise on Twitter like your stuff. Like
Mm-mm.
yeah, you were so quiet about what you were doing. But yeah, it's cool that you found like a little niche behind the scenes instead of like being at the forefront. And that's obviously improved your mental health, you know? Obviously. Like,
Ab-
yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Like, it did. It's like now I feel like I don't have to worry about, filling this many hours.
Mm,
Which people start to think, like, well, once, people I think have a fantasy about streaming where they're just like, I want to be big time. No, you don't. You
Yeah,
really
you have to
don't.
stream
Because once,
all the time. Like,
yeah,
yeah, you have to be regular. You have to be like to a schedule. Like, and also then you have the stress of like your entire life is like
yeah,
exposed. Like your everything is exposed. And this is something that I like thought about. Like my entire yeah, my entire we'll get into we should switch into the social media aspect of it now, I guess, because like when I quit YouTube, it was like my entire community, like the community that I built with other people, um, it was like a vacuum. Like it was like, who am I? Like, that's what it came out after. Like when I stopped streaming and stopped doing content, I was like, who am I actually? Because I was so wrapped up in the identity of Helix. Like I was like so wrapped up in that identity that I didn't even know what I wanted in life. Like, and I'm talking about November is like November 8th, I think, is when I started to withdraw from social media and from YouTube. Twitter, I I put a what is it? I my 2008 Twitter account. That's what it was. That's when I created that account. I decommissioned it, and after 30 days of decommissioning, it disappears forever into the ether. Um, so it's been an interesting thing being off that for so long because I came back and I just saw so much toxic talk like that I was a part of too. Like I was involved in it. But just coming back and just seeing seeing how much there is on Twitter, just in the movie talk sphere is just fascinating to me how angry people are about media. Like just about consumable media. The stupidest of things to be upset about. Like just move on with your day. Like,
yeah. It's just like it's one of the things where anonymity has made people just keyboard warriors
oh yeah, yeah,
and always have like a cause or always have like this and that, and it's just like whenever which is one of the reasons why I stopped streaming on and stopped doing Twitch, stopped doing YouTube, stopped doing everything was because it was just like it put me in a bad place to where you and I both know that bad place.
mm,
And it put me back to that point where it was like, oh my God, it's a chore. I have to be on at this
yes,
time.
oh,
And then I have to go ahead and then I'm gonna see this comment or I'm gonna see
yeah,
that comment.
yeah,
And it's just like I seriously I stopped one of my streams because I got so annoyed and aggravated that I was just like, people, if you do not stop being parasocial in my chat, I was like, I am not going to play GTA right now. We are playing Valo. I just want to chill, have a cozy Valo stream. We can talk about things. I was like, I can tell you about my day. I can do whatever you want to do. We can talk about some mental health while I go ahead and try to, pop off a little bit. But I'm not going on GTA. I was like, quit spamming GTA. I'm not going to do it. And then
mm,
it was like, I just kind of said, I was like, I stopped I literally, I stopped streaming. Like, before I stopped streaming, like, that was a day, like, it got to be too much. I was like, look, you guys are asking me really, really, like, parasocial questions. It's like, so I'm just going to say it. Please unplug me. Stop watching me.
mm.
Go outside, drink some water.
Touch some
It's gonna
grass.
be okay.
Yeah,
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 touch grass. It's gonna be okay.
yeah,
Spend some time with your loved ones. Call that person you haven't spoken to a long time. Answer unanswered texts.
yeah.
I'm like, but do something else but be in my chat telling me what I should be doing when I'm just vibing right now and I don't feel like going on GTA. I was like, so if you don't want to support that, you don't only want to see that, then please just leave. I was like, it is fine. I will be okay. And then they kept on. I was like, you know what? I'll do this for you guys. I'm like, you guys have a wonderful evening. I was like, go ahead and check out the Discord. I was like, I'll let you guys know when I'm back. Blah blah blah. I was like, have a wonderful day. And like I ended stream and I just kept on playing Valo without even streaming. I was like, I'm not doing this shit today.
Mm.
I was like, you're not gonna tell me what to do. I was like, at that point in time, it's like you're talking to people that you're just like halfway, or some are adults or some are teens, or you don't know, and you're just like, you know what, I'm going to make the decision for you. I'm going to turn myself off so that you can go about your day, because obviously me doing what I want to do is too much for you.
Yeah, I have to
So
agree. Like there were people purposely that would come into the chat to trigger me. about something so that I would
Oh,
rant.
I
There were
remember.
people on the stream, a mutual friend of ours on the stream who was called out by another person that we mutually know for doing the same thing. Like, I won't say their gender, they would intentionally say stuff to trigger me, to try and get me to rant. Like, because people came for the rants. And it got so tiring, Stormy. At the end of that stream, I'd be offline in a back room with other people or with a person, and just be discussing how and just be so tired like at the end of a stream because it took all my effort to just like keep everything in check, make sure everyone got their thing to say, and then also on top of that rant about whatever. Like it just is it's yeah, people would come in the chat to get triggered, like to trigger me, and it would be about, you know, either drama or whatever the topic was, or just intentional trolls. Like, and that's what Twitter's turned into it as well. Like, there's intentional trolling, like of people to just
Yes.
get them to be angry. And like, people will see my comments now. I'll go and people will say, like, there was a comment yesterday. Someone talked about how Fast X was the most terrible film ever, and I just put under them like, I'm sorry you didn't like it. I can't wait to see it. Like, I don't care anymore. Like to argue about people's opinions on things, like because you're never going to argue somebody into your thing, and that's not what criticism actually is. Like film criticism is where you just singly critique a film based on your opinion or the films that you've seen. You put it out there, and people are free to question that or not. Like Dan Marl does it. Like, and it's like, yeah, people question his critique, and people don't question his, and people agree with his takes, and that's all he does. He's a film critic. But like with my streams, it became just hate on
Drama.
this, hate on this, hate
Yeah.
on that. Watch things out of like you talking about obligation earlier, like watch things out of obligation. So like Rings of Power, we're watching that out of, and I can't do this. She-Hulk, I hated that show, like, and I just stopped watching it. Like, um, it was like, but we watched like Hawkeye all the way through, and I just did not enjoy that show, like you know, at all. And I was just like, why? We're just watching this for content, and it just became yeah, it became toxic, really toxic to oneself to just watch something knowing you're going to hate on it that week, and knowing that, you know, somebody a regular on my show would be the only positive voice in the room. Um and it's just yeah, it's really yeah, it just really got
Yeah.
tiring. And then yeah, so I, you know, and then the personal life stuff happened, and so it all just fractured at once for me. Um and so like yeah, it was like a moment of clarity where I was like, you know what? I don't need this. I don't need this in my life anymore, but who am I without this? And that was a hard journey. Like, I only discovered that maybe 2 or 3 months back when I went through like therapy for it. Like,
Hmm.
therapy for the whole thing for like a year and a half of being online, having everything exposed, like, as in my entire self exposed, making my entire life about online life, being on Twitter every day, arguing with people, like all that stuff. It's just like, yeah, but yeah, social media. It's just the anonymity is what you're talking about. Like it's one of the biggest problems I think for society right now, because people don't. I don't think people know how to articulate themselves in real life, because like when I reflect on the streaming time, people would take their Twitter arguments and they just say them verbatim, like on a stream to somebody. And it was like no one knows how to talk to each other anymore because they talk like they're typing on Twitter. Um, and then it just becomes a personal insult at the end. And it's just becomes not fun. And it used to be fun. And I think it's like everything in the end, uh, there's a time and place for everything. And that time was a for the majority part, I enjoyed that time. 2021 was a good year for like streaming for me. 2022 not so much, like because of all the drama and stuff that got, because when you become a big talker, I guess, in any community. So we just talk about the movie talk community because that's what I was in, right? When you become a a big time talker in that community, and I'm not like, you know, not a huge sub channel or whatever, but like people knew who I was in that community, you know. Um,
People
when
still know who you are.
yeah, people still know who I am. Yeah, people still talk about me too, which I just wish they would not, but like they still do. But it's like for not the reasons that I should be like known for. Like I'd rather them talk about me yelling about movies than about other things. But I'm sure you're aware of what I'm speaking about. But like,
Oh no,
yeah,
yeah,
and
I feel like it's
and it's just like I wish that it would all because it's but the popularity I guess started with that like and it's that's the problem and that's why I had to disconnect that name from myself. um I had to disconnect because it started my channel's videos didn't start with movie talk or the podcast. It started with um gotcha videos basically. It
yeah,
started with that stuff. It started with attacking people, other content creators, and that's where I got my popularity. I got like 150 subs overnight because I made one video about a particular content creator. And it's just like, yeah, it's not worth that being connected to that. Um so it's nice to just be disconnected for a bit and have a reset on Twitter like and all those things and change the way that I view things as well. And yeah, change the way that uh, I guess that I conduct myself because I've realized there was a lot of toxicity from me and I affected a lot of people in a negative way and people that I cared about in a very negative way. So I had to sort of learn from that experience and grow, which is I guess the only thing you can do. So a lot of people I guess would see like me doing this and posting it up on YouTube or starting like this kind of post conversation like podcast, I guess, as some sort of uh, return to old ways. But I think if you hear how I'm speaking, um, you'll notice that there is a definitive change in the way I'm approaching things, and also um, I'm not talking about movies at all in this podcast. So
well, I'll say that
I have no
I will
interest in
say that
debating movies with anyone, and even in real life, people are like, "Oh, you like this? You like this movie?" And I'm like, I didn't really like that movie, but you're good. I'm glad that you liked it." The end. Like, I don't debate that stuff anymore. It's so toxic to me. But yeah, go ahead.
yeah, no, we both come from that space, so they can say the same thing about me too. But it's just like the during that time or whatever, it was more like on my for me, it was I reflect back on that time and I do not think of it fondly at all. Now I do think about the people that I did meet along the way, because I met some very wonderful people
Hmm.
that are my good friends. You know what I mean? Like they're my family. The Great Council. That's my home base. That's my family right there. And I've kept in touch with you. Mike from Rogue Comics. I've kept in touch with him, and it's just like those people that are really important, stay there. You know what I mean? And the
That's
rest,
correct. Yeah,
it's it's like how somebody, it's like how people say, people come into your life to either one, stay, or number two, teach you a lesson. And that portion taught us a lesson, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And it taught us not to be, it taught us to, if you're unauthentic, you're not going to be happy.
No.
And during that time, you and I both came from that space where it was like, okay, be prepared to debate and tell me what you don't like. Okay, well, and
Yeah.
you remember me on that one where I was just like, whenever it would come to me, I'd be like, yeah, I really don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was more like I was just there for, to bring in super chats or whatever. And then you start feeling like a pawn
Hmm.
where it's like, and then you start feeling like, wait a minute, when did I start working for you for no pay? I don't think so.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
not
it's
gonna,
just yeah.
I'm not gonna be here for your clicks. Like, no, we're not gonna do that.
Hmm.
And it was one of those things where it was just like also after a while, when you go back and you look at these things, you're just like, oh my God, who did not hug you, honey? Like, what happened? Like, why are you so angry at these things? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think that people that say they care about a lot of things, they really don't. Because I always tell people, even when during our, IRL, when I'm doing my, therapy sessions with people, I always tell them, like, if you say you care about a lot of things, who cares about you? Or what are you doing to put into yourself?
Yeah.
Because you're caring and giving yourself to so many things. When are you there for yourself? And so, I think that if people, it's just like how I get brought into things when people bring up things, from a past, and then they want uh, my opinion on it. And I'm gonna be honest. I have been a little bit rude to people that have sent me messages, because I think I match energy at that point. Um, so past couple of months, I've gotten messages, or, oh, look at this, or look at this YouTube channel. This person's doing that, and I'll usually respond to them with this meme. And yes, it is mean, but it kind
Yeah,
of
but
like
it's just
fits the
like
bill.
stop sending me this. I don't care. Like someone sent
Well,
me a message the other day, and they're like, "It's what the flash is," and I'm just like, I don't care about this stuff. Like I made such a like with I can't go into it too much, but like there was a point August last year where I went onto a channel and I just yelled at somebody about that that about that situation, about the Miller situation. Like I just yelled at them, like how stupid they were, blah blah blah. Like, and I reflect on that and I just think how stupid to be so upset about something that has nothing to do with me. And it's basically we care because what he's an actor in a movie that is meaningless. Like it's just so
uh,
yeah,
it's
it's
just
just
like,
so sad how invested I was in these things. Like I just look back and go, what an idiot, what a mistake to make. Like, but having
hey,
made the mistake, I now can reflect and go, not gonna
there you
do that
go.
again. Yeah, not gonna
There
be
you
that
go.
way
That's
again. Yeah,
and that's a silver lining you have to look at. You know what I mean? Because you're not that same person anymore. You can go ahead and look back and say, "Ah, it was kind of cringy," but
it's
hey, I'm
cringe as
not that
hell. Yeah,
person.
yeah,
you
exactly.
know.
Yeah, it was cringy as
But
hell.
but it's like but it's like when I get the messages on Twitter, trying to tell me about this person that I don't want to associate with and don't
Mm.
even want to be
Mm-hmm.
linked to,
Yep.
and they'll send me these big long messages. And yes, I do send the meme, and I'm sorry I do, but the meme says, "I ain't reading all that. Sorry that happened to you, or best of luck with you." It's like I'm not reading all that shit, man. I'm not linking. I'm not clicking on a link. I'm not looking at a video. I am sorry. Hopefully, you can move past that. But I always ask people, what is your intention of what you're putting out there on the social media platform?
Yeah.
Like YouTube, what is your intention behind it? Is it just for clicks? Is it just for drama? Then you're doing negative. You're no better
Oh
than the people
yeah,
that you're
it's
talking about.
that's so true.
You know?
Like because I've been talking to another like a similar mutual friend of ours, um, and they were talking to me about how like their struggle of like, oh, why am I doing YouTube? Like, why should I put a video out? And one time this person was just like, I couldn't care less if I made another YouTube video. Like because my motivation it's not there. Like I don't care about that so much anymore. It was like an escape from their life at the time, and that's what streaming was for me. It was an escape from something that I hadn't dealt with, from my 9.5 year relationship. It was an escape from that. It was an escape from, and it was a an avenue to express anger and rage I was feeling at that time. And when I realized that after like therapy and talking about it and stuff, when I realized that that's what it was, I was like, that's why I don't feel the need to stream anymore. Like that's because
Huh.
like once I sort of came out of the therapy side of it, I was like I wanted to be creative. I was like, oh, but then I was like, oh, I'll go on Twitch because it's a different platform. It's something separate to YouTube altogether. And like yeah, I've had some fun streams, or when I've been by myself, I've had the best kind of streams. Like it's been nice to play with other people, like, and it's been nice to be on other people's channels too. Like I've got a friend, a Twitch streamer, that's my one of my best friends from school. That's a Twitch affiliate, and he's had me on his stream a couple of times, and I've had a lot of good fun. Like made new friends and all that sort of stuff. Like, um, but it's yeah, it's been an interesting experience coming back and trying to see what if I want to do anything. Like creativity wise, I'm always trying to, well, not trying to be, but I am a creative person. So it's trying to find that avenue again because I love video editing, which should be surprising to some people, but like I do love editing. I love editing and stuff like that. Um, but it's just, yeah, it's been that kind of struggle of like, oh, do I want to go back to something that really caused me so much pain and anxiety? And it's like I made a video. So I made a video a couple of days ago about called "What Happened? Where Have I Been?" And it was like just me explaining, like for YouTube where I've been, and I uploaded it and like kept it as unlisted. And I was like gonna have it show yesterday morning for me, right, 9 o'clock for me, and whatever time for the rest of America. But like had a panic attack, Stormy. Like, and I had to call Dylan because I had a panic
Mm-hmm.
attack for just uploading that because I was like, oh, people are going to perceive that I'm back, or people are going to perceive that I'm the same person, or whatever it might be. It doesn't matter what the content is inside of that YouTube thing. They're going to go, oh, he's back, and he's going to comment, oh, they're back, like the channel's coming back, all this sort of stuff, and it just made me panic. So I was like, no, I'm not this person, and I was like, I'm not gonna upload this video. Like, so it's interesting to have that experience and be like, okay, so I'm not fully well yet. Like that's what it taught me. I'm like, I'm not fully there yet. Um, I'm not
Really?
fully whole. Um, and it's okay to the thing about that is it's okay to be like, no, I'm not whole. Like I'm not, or like I'm whole, but I'm not ready to explore this yet again, or if ever. Like so, it's interesting to sort of have that that experience, I guess. And I don't know if you sort of have similar ones with like roleplay GTA or like even Twitch streaming. Like if you think about, oh, I should go on a Twitch stream, and you kind of get that, oh, but this happened last time, and I don't want that to happen again.
I
Um,
still struggle with that. I
yeah,
struggle with
and
it's
it,
like I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like
yeah,
maybe that video that you did was for you. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
It's like it's for you. It's not for everybody else, but it's for you. For you to reflect and see. It's like to test the water. And it's like for me, it's like I've people have asked me. They're like, are you going? Are you going to stream again? Or are you going to do Red Dead Redemption? Or hey, you
mm,
heard about GTA? Blah blah blah. And it's like it gets to a point where just like again, I start to get like really like yeah, it's not good for my mental. Like I need to
yeah,
pull back, and it's just like or it's like I have people that want for me to talk about movie talk with them and stuff, and it just like I'm not I don't want to go back in that world either because it's
yeah.
like
It's
you
toxic.
know
It's so
yeah
toxic.
and
Oh,
yeah
it's extreme. It's like you either hate it or you love something. You can't be in the middle. You can't be indifferent. You can't be like, oh, I think it's a 50-50 movie. It's like I had a discussion on a Twitch stream with Dylan about this when he was on playing with me, and we're talking about Quantumania, right? And I was like, I didn't understand the hate for that movie. I was like, it's a mid movie. Sure, there's some silly scenes in it. I enjoyed a lot of that film, right? I didn't enjoy as much as Shazam, Fury of the Gods. I loved that film, and I laughed almost all the way through that film. Um, and I think that film got too much hate from the press, to be honest. But I'm not going to get on Twitter and rage about that. Like, I'm not going to like, these people are not seeing this movie and it's wrong. Like, it's like, maybe you should consider every angle that people maybe are sick of superhero films. Maybe that's probably what it is. Like, maybe that's why you're seeing less revenue. Like, not because people hate on DC or people hate on Marvel. Maybe it's just because the general public they're not on Twitter. They're not in these spheres. They just go to see a movie because they're like, oh, this looks fun, right? That's why
they
Fast
just
and the
want yeah
Furious makes lots of money because it looks fun. It looks stupid, dumb action. Like people go to watch those films for the dumb action and the firmly. Like, like that's what it's about. And that's why I see those films, But the cinema was majoritively empty last night, and it's opening. I'm pretty sure it opened this week or last week. So maybe it's not going to make as much money either. They've been on a downcline as well. Same with Transformers. I think it's like the West. I kind of attribute it to like, and this is a little bit movie talky, but it's whatever. I kind of attribute it to like the westerns back in the day. There were so many westerns, and then they died out. Then there was a bunch of cop movies, and then they died out. And there was a bunch of thriller movies, and then they died out. Hollywood goes through phases where they just make things until they stop making money, and then they switch to something else. Like, and this is the cycle of Hollywood, and it's fine, like because general public make decisions. But there's no need to go on Twitter and just rage about it. Like, I just don't
well
see the
that's
need
why
for it.
Well, that's why it's like I was watching a stream the other day, and I won't say which stream I was watching, but I was watching a stream, and, and there was a debate going on about okay, I'll say this. I was watching two different streams that day because I was just like, you know what? I was like, I'm
Dipping
gonna
in and
look
out.
and dive in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dipping in and out. Yeah, I do
yeah,
that sometimes. Sometimes I
yeah,
do
I
that.
want to
Yeah,
see what's going on. Like, I
yeah.
want to test the water a little
Mm.
bit. And I was listening to these people like talk about movies, and I was literally, um, and this is just to tell you guys, for somebody that has been away from that environment for so long, that the parasocial Andes I was talking about that are in the RP community, I see them also in the movie community,
Oh yeah,
where it's like, what does it matter that much? Like,
yeah.
are
Why
you
does
gonna
it?
lose
Why do you
sleep?
care so
Are
much
you gonna
about this? Yeah,
lose
yeah,
sleep about this? If you are, then you need to step back. You need
yeah.
to step
Touch some
away.
grass. Yeah,
Yeah, you need to learn. That's your unplug sign. And I will tell this for the general audience. I'm like, if you have anything that you're consuming, whether it be, whatever, because sometimes what people do not realize is that when you're watching these streams, whatever you're watching, I don't care, I don't judge, gaming, movie, whatever you're
whatever
watching.
it is. Yeah,
If it's affecting you mentally, you're losing sleep over it, you can't think of anything else, etc., etc., etc. Those are your mind's mental signals telling you you need to step away and you need to unplug and you need to recharge.
yeah,
Because if you're caring about these things more than your own mental and hygiene and your own self, then there's a problem. If you're ignoring the people in your life to do these streams or to look at these streams, there's a problem there. At that point in time, you need to step away. And you have to learn those warning signs because you are going to have a mental break, which a lot of people in the streaming world have them because they don't know when to basically say, this is enough. That's why I don't agree with these subathons and shit like that. I don't agree with those things. It's like it's not healthy. Like, don't do it. Dude, why are you staying 72 hours up? It is not good for your mental. It is not worth it. So learn these warning signs because I've seen, again, I was looking at the streams, different ones, and I was looking at these people to where they're talking about their own political views or they're doing this and
oh,
that.
yep.
And I decided to say hello to somebody in the, I normally just say hello. So I said hello to people, and then somebody added me, and they, because I didn't see a certain movie or whatever, and they decided to at me. It's like, I can't believe she has never seen that movie. Like, where have you been living under a rock? And I'm just like, I want to tell you people, do not at people that you don't know, especially if you are having an audience of 10 or less.
Yeah.
Don't at people because literally I'm about to throw hands on you at that point because I am not in the, like, I
But I've
am
had this
going to these,
discussion. Like
yeah,
it's like
just,
it's funny because because I've been off the net, right? So I've been out meeting new people. I've been like experiencing life and like experiencing different people that aren't part of the movie talk community. And there's people that, like, this one person said to me, I haven't seen any Star Wars films except for the one of the sequel trilogy films. And she said, I fell asleep during Empire Strikes Back, which anybody that's listening to this right now who loves Star Wars would be like, oh my God, this person, stay away from, like, that would be the immediate reaction because Empire, falling asleep in Empire. She's like, and I was like, but at the same time, I was like, no, it's an opportunity to see these great films. Like, it's the
yeah.
opportunity to watch somebody with me watch these films for the first time and be like, oh my goodness, this is Star Wars. Like, that's the opportunity to me. Like, I ran someone through the Boys series, someone who was averted to gruesome gore, and they still enjoyed it for the story. Like, I just think, uh, yeah, getting upset with people because they haven't seen something, just be like, it's an opportunity for them to see it. Like, it's an opportunity for you
Exactly.
to introduce it to them and be like, hey, this is a whole fandom that you didn't know about. Like, that's involved in this. This is why people are so passionate about these characters now. Now you can understand why people are so passionate about Luke Skywalker, because this is Luke's story in the Star Wars original saga. Like, the redemption of Vader to Anakin. That's what it's about. Like, and that's why people are so passionate about these characters and have been for so long, because these came out years ago. Like, it's an opportunity to do, like, give them that sort of backstory, that kind of background, because they're like, why do people care so much? You know? Um, but yeah, to come at people and be like, "Have you not seen this?" That's crazy. So
It
yeah.
it's like I'm watching these streams, by the way. It's like as a casual viewer, not a regular viewer, casual. I'm looking at this to literally because, and it's not it's basically to give you guys a like just a picture in your mind as to where I'm coming from. I'm coming off like a 12-hour hospital shift where I'm not only dealing with mental patients, but then I'm also helping out in the ER with people. So it's like I have seen some shit, heard some shit, from SA to anything you can think of, I've seen and heard that day. I'm trying to escape. And
Mm,
so when I'm trying to escape, I'm going to put a stream on just to watch it, just to numb my mind or something like that. And so if I'm watching a stream and I just ask a casual question like, "Oh my god, what is that movie?" Your
mm,
response should be to me like, "Oh my god, you should watch it. It has this and this person in it. I'm not sure if you know them, but yeah, yada
mm,
yada yada." Not to make me feel bad for it because at that point in time, my mental is not the greatest and I'm about to throw hands on you. I'm about to ask somebody for a link because I know them and I'm about to go ahead and talk something. And if I get to that place, that's when I know I have to turn you off. And I see some of these streams where people are saying very controversial things and they're being very clickbaity. And I don't even think they believe what is coming out of their mouth, but they just want to be that person. And I just look at it and I'm just like, this world is full of negativity out there. Like, literally, why do you want to contribute to it? Like, and it's like, if you really do think that way, there's a lot of other people that are making a lot more money, doing a lot more better by being clickbaity than you. Like, you
mm.
literally do not need to contribute to the negativity on here.
Yeah.
You need to go get off. Like, people already on here are not in the greatest mental capacity. So they're looking for people that think just like them, and then, and mostly these people that are thinking this way are not mostly mentally stable or not in the best position in their life. You're not making it any better. So that's why I always tell people, when you're streaming what you're putting out there, why are you doing it? What's the reason behind it? Because if it's just to have casual conversations with people, then please respect people's boundaries. No religion, no political talk, anything like that.
Yeah,
Keep it
yeah.
light, keep it
Yeah.
airy. But once you start crossing that boundary, honey, at that point in time, you're literally doing it for your own personal agenda. I believe it's like you're
Oh
you're doing
yeah.
it just to
And if you're
be
doing
echo
it,
chamber.
yeah, if you're, that's the thing. Echo chambers was a big issue for me as well. I was like, I'd come into other streams and I'd ask questions, and it was like not in line with the echo chamber. So I, I was like, okay, well, you're just marginalizing people that may have different opinions to you out of your stream. Good luck, good work. Okay, if you want a hug chamber, like a hug box, cool, that's cool. Like, but it's like, I feel like that's maybe that's what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to do a light format. I want to ask questions about things, and then it sort of develops into a conversation about something else. Like, and of course, it's a little bit heavier side on, like, it's a bit light on the start of the first start of this podcast, but like a little bit heavy on this alternate end because we're talking about things that actually involved us, that actually affected us in a negative way, I guess. And it's a way, I guess, because if and when this does go up on the channel, like it may be the first you know thing that goes up after 6 months.
I
And
can I can say this, that you and I both come from the extension of the other people. It's like I've always told you, you and myself and other people have all trauma bonded because we all came from a place that was really bad. We've met, and I met some wonderful people out there, and you know that.
mm,
But we were in a very we in the streaming platform, when you're basically introduced to streaming and you get thrown into an extreme where you're having like 20 to 30,000 people watching you per stream, and you start to get introduced to, we didn't get soft launch into streaming at all by any
no,
means. We got hard launch where it was like 0 to 1,000
it's when you get
very
elevated
quickly.
onto like another person. You're talking about
Yeah,
when you're
it's
on
like,
somebody else's platform and you're like
yeah,
they
and
boost your
you
channel
and
basically. Yeah.
yeah, and you basically become somebody that you're actually not. And you start to realize when you walk away from those places, like, oh my fucking God, like what was wrong with me? Like,
Mm,
I became somebody I did not like.
Yeah.
or I allowed myself to become somebody. So it's like when I state, or and I can't speak for Paul when I say this, but for me, when I see these hate channels or I see these people talking about very touchy subjects, you have to remember that I am the platforms that I came from echoed that and encouraged that, and you were a part of that, and you saw the background,
Mm.
how they loved it because they saw how much money they got and how many clips, and at the end of it you felt so like you contributed to something so bad,
Yeah.
like, and then you contributed, you were part of a community that, bullied or do this and that or created hit pieces. It was bad, and it's just like that's the place that where it's like people are trying to escape from. And it's like if you want to create content that's great, that people escape, that have cozy vibes, that want to stay in your chat,
Mm.
want to watch you play different things, want to hear about your day. They don't want to see the drama because at the end of the day, people go to streams to escape. We have the news, we have all this shit that's always bad. That little time that those people are in your chat that are trying to, like, you know, connect with you or talk to you,
Mm.
make it a little bit better. Make them think of something different. Make it cozy. Make it like, you're welcome here. That way they can literally turn their mental off and they can think of something different.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we as creators need to do better job of. And instead of just doing clickable and this and that, blah blah blah, actually have quality, not quantity. We
Yeah.
have to have quality content out there because we have to realize also we have a lot of people that are adolescents that are coming into our chat that we don't even know that are not mentally capable, and I would hate to send them on a wrong path or think this is okay to talk to people like this. It's
Yeah.
like, and that's what started to get to me. And so that's why it's like when I see these channels that are still going, doing the same kind of format, I'm just like, oh my God, honey, like who didn't hug you? Like, what is going on with you in your life? Like, why do you think this is okay? Like, I came here to escape. I do not care about what's, going on. And
Yeah.
like,
I think
it's like
like
I don't.
the struggle with that was like I think with me was like I started there in that particular position, and then I tried to remake in the middle of it and like go to movie talk, which for the most part was successful, and then other drama would come up and then it would have to be discussed, and I would have to address it, and like I look back and I'm like, why did I have to? It's like it was this thing to be justified or like to be for justice sake or whatever. I'd had to address things that were said about me. I had to like give people airtime. It's just like I didn't have to do any of that. I could have just ignored it and continued with the movie talk. And because I had to do those things, I affected people in a negative way, and it drew other people into like a vortex that was just when it took on a life of its own. It was just like it was, yeah, it became like that Stormy where it wasn't about being chill anymore. Like it wasn't about having a good time on stream and discussing something and maybe having differences of opinion. It was about either addressing the latest drama or doing that behind the scenes, or then you know um, then it became just dwarfed. Like
It's
it just became it became a mutation of something that it couldn't be stopped. Like it just wasn't stoppable at that point. And then the people that were affected and all the negative ways, it was just because I felt it was because yeah I wasn't able to just let it go and move forward. And that's why at the end it had to be a total separation of like name and channel and everything related. So, but people that searched up certain keywords would not find my channel anymore because those videos no longer existed. It was that was my way of separating out and protecting people as well, protecting myself, but also protecting everybody else that was involved because there was like at the peak of it there was semi death threats and other things happening. And it was just like, come on, like, this is not real life, guys. Like, the internet is not real. It's not real. It's like, it's real life for some people. And that's the sad part. And that's what you're talking about where you have to go touch grass and stuff. But like, it's not real. Like it's not real life. People post things up online. They post the best Instagram. People post the best versions of themselves, right? Like with the filters or whatever. People post on Twitter. They post like an alternate ego of themselves. Like they never talk to people in real life. Some may, right? But most people would not talk the way that they do on Twitter to people in real life. Like, and it's like,
No, they wouldn't.
yeah, and it's
Mm-mm.
like people like talking about social media. This is the bad thing about social media is that people have now become so disconnected with other people that like I when I started talking to other people had to like relearn how to like speak to people in real life because my whole life, Stormy, was like coming home from work, spending time with a person, and then after that, the end of the week, it was streaming or making content during the week. Like that's all it was. It was completely online. My entire life was online. My entire personal life was online because I lost all of my friends from that previous relationship. Um, so like getting back out there over those last 6 months and forming new friendships with people, it's been crazy to sort of having to navigate interpersonal connection with somebody, like or people, and just like finding out like, oh, people care a little bit too much about this, or people like body language, all that sort of stuff. Like having to learn how to read that again. Like, yeah, it's been an interesting experience, but being offline has been great. Like for that experience. And I
It
think
is.
disconnecting from social media was one of the greatest things I ever did in my life. And now on Twitter, I post maybe once a day, and it's some meme or it's like some music video that I'm listening to, or just something funny or something thoughtful. I don't really engage with movie talk at all ever, unless it's like I see something random by Sean or something, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry you didn't like it, but I'm looking forward to that film. Like, so yeah, disengaging.
Those things. You have to, and you have to do it for your mental, and it's a good reset for yourself, you know?
Mm.
And it's like nowadays people care more about clicks than they do about humanity, you know?
Oh
They don't really want a connection with people. They just want to see what they can profit off of a person.
yeah. Mm.
And I've learned that a lot, you know, and it's in the streaming world a lot, you know. Um just like, you know, that's why it's good for you to know the difference between the two, you know, a transactional relationship, as I call it,
Mm.
or an actual friendship with somebody, you
Yeah.
know, and that's the difference to know. And for me, it's like when people ask me, "Oh, are you that Stormy?" I'm like, I don't know who you're talking about. You know,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
normal
Yeah.
response is like, I don't know who you're
At
talking
least people
about.
that talk about me, at least there's one prominent streamer that talks about me whenever particular issues come up. At least they don't mention me by name. They have that respect to do that. They're just like, there's this one person that's not on the internet anymore, basically, that was a friend of this person I'm going after in this stream. And it's like, okay, good. Like, leave my name like alone. Like, let that name die. Like, let's not talk about that person because
Yeah.
that person doesn't exist anymore. Um,
Yeah, and it's like it's one of those things that where it's like I get a lot of people that'll also tell me they're like I've gotten a lot of things where it's like you should care about this or you should do this or you should I really don't have to do any of that, you
no.
know? Um it's like recent, things have happened or whatever and people have asked me to tell my story and stuff. I don't have a story to tell.
Mm.
You know, those people that know experienced it with me, but I'm not that
Yeah,
person
exactly.
anymore.
Yeah,
I let that
exactly.
go a long time ago,
Yeah, exactly.
and it's just like, and that's when I'll always ask this question, and this is when they'll stop the DMs from coming to me. What is the reason behind you doing all of this?
Mm.
You know, if there's something that, but it's also, but people have accused me of like, well, not believing people. It's not that. It's just like you have to understand. I work in an ER. That's my primary question is to anybody that like comes or like tells me something, or will it's okay. Well, what happened? Facts. I need this. I need that. And it's just like I ask people that want to post something on the internet, what's the intention of you doing it behind it? If something truly terrible happened, please talk to an authority.
Mm.
But beyond that, what is the intention behind all of this, you know?
I just see
And
it as like like the story's been told. We want to leave it in the past. Like they have their story to tell. Let them tell their story. Like
you
like
don't need me to tell your
yeah,
story.
yeah.
It's
You
like,
don't need me at all anymore. Like I'm
yeah, it's
done.
like,
Like that's over for me. Yeah. Like yeah.
yeah. And it's just like it's one of those things where it's like you unless it's like I always pay I always tell somebody it's like and this is when I go on non-professional, just go very personal when I say this. I'm like, unless you're paying my bills or my significant other,
Mm.
you or family member, you're not entitled to any of my opinion, or you do what you think of me has no
Oh
bearing on
yeah,
you whatsoever.
that's so
It's like,
true.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's something
yeah,
I've
it's
learned.
like
I've learned really a lot of the hard way of this last 6 months, like going through therapy and everything. I just realized like I don't care what other people think. If people want to come and ask me a question about my life or what I'm doing, and they're open to hearing my response, and we can like agree to disagree or whatever it is, like, and we can still be friends. Cool. Like, or you can see my perspective. Cool. But I don't owe anybody anything. Like, I don't owe
oh,
anybody anything. And a mantra I kind of coined for myself, I guess, is people make choices. I don't have to live with their choices. I only have to live with mine. So like when
exactly.
someone makes a choice, I can choose if it affects me or not. And if they make a choice and I think it's a bad decision and they're my friend, I will reach out and be like, okay, I think this is a bad decision. But if they choose to go ahead with that, that's on them. I can't help them. Like I can't. You can bring a horse to water, but you can't make a drink. That old saying, Like, but I'm not like. And if they want advice, I'll give it to them. But if they don't follow my advice, I'm not gonna have a bleeding heart about it anymore. Like I feel like, as much as this might sound like a contradiction to who I was, my persona online, I've been super nice. Like I've been a nice guy, like a lot. And I've realized that people take advantage of that, and I'm not gonna do that anymore. Like I've come to this like thing after therapy, like where I'm just like I'm not gonna let other people's choices affect me anymore. I'm just gonna live my life, and people want to be a part of it, they can, and if people don't want to be a part of it, let me know, and we're good. Like, um, and like that goes to like it goes to that whole trigger of the social media thing. It's like like you said, you've kept people through this time. I've kept people through this time. Like Dylan is
Hmm.
like one of my greatest friends. Like, and I met him on YouTube through streaming.
Yeah.
And but like we talk regularly, nearly every day, because we lean on each other because we went through similar situations. Um, he's just a little bit further ahead of it than I am at the moment. I'm hoping to get to his point, but like people like that, people who will stay on the phone with you, and it might, I don't know, this might get a bit serious at the end here, but like people that stay on the phone with you when you are going to do something drastic to yourself, and they will stay on the phone with you, even if it's like early hours of the morning in their country, just so that they can get you through it and make sure that you are not going to do anything drastic. Those people are actual friends. Those people are actually people that like will stick by you and be like, hey, like they're not people that will be like, I'm so sorry that happened to you or whatever it is, like, and then they're not there for you. Friends are actually there for you, and they tell you the hard things. Like Dylan, tells me hard things sometimes. Um,
Hmm.
like I'm like, oh, what do you think about this? And he's just like, what are you doing? You're being fucking stupid. Like,
Hmm.
and it's
And
like that's what a
and
friend
everybody's here.
is. Yeah, not a yes man. I hate like these yes people. They aren't real friends. Like, and so like that's what I like. Just talking before you go, like, just that's the positive I've taken out of YouTube is that I have people, and I brought people together too. Like Mike and Dylan know each other through my channel, like, and they play Fortnite all the time together now. Like it's like the like, and I don't be like I'm the reason they're friends, but like I'm saying like it's cool to me that there's positives that came out of that I can look at and go, okay, not everything was terrible. There was positive points. There was fun things that happened. There was fun friendships that were made and that still continue now. It's just that that channel couldn't continue because it was just a it was a damn it was like a pit of destruction. Yeah.
I'm not going to be hurt at all that you did not mention that I have actually had some come to Jesus moments with you. Be hurt at
Oh,
all.
I'm nah. What? I was speaking Dylan specifically because I was thinking about a moment in February, and there was three moments in February where I ended up in the emergency ward because I was that that destructive to
Yeah,
myself.
no,
And one of
no, this
those
is like,
occasions it was with Dylan, but like, so yeah, that's the only
no,
reason I
this is
brought it
a,
up.
this is my intention speaking, seeking moment, people, just to let you know. I have one here or there, but no, 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 no. For anybody that does not know, Paul and me are really good friends. Like, we did not meet on the greatest of circumstances.
No.
I despised him for a long time. And it was because we literally met at the worst time. And we were on a segment that, again, politics and drinking should never mix. And I'll just keep it at that. But that's how we met. And he and
Mm.
I both always would clash heads. But after getting to know each other, you have become like a really good friend of mine where, like I told you, I was like, I don't care, you can call me whenever. And that's what I'm saying. I'm like, even through that,
Listen,
I
Stormy,
look at
you
the
met me in
positive.
my conservative arc, okay? That's what happened. You met me in my
Hey,
conservative
hey,
arc,
hey,
all right?
hey! I played role play, man. I'm like, you can go through the arc, but we'll just ignore it.
Yeah, I
I
was
had a
going through a
closure on my
hardcore conservative arc, and then like, and that's when I started on YouTube. I was hardcore conservative arc, and then like at the end of YouTube, I'm kind of center left now. So it's yeah,
yeah.
that's
So
what
it's like,
happened.
yeah. So it happens. People grow, but it just
I
like
know.
it's
I
one of
just
those things where
started
it's like,
listening to alternative opinions outside of the bubble. You know, that's like
yeah, it's
that's what happens when you get in a hug box, and this is why I don't like hug boxes because when you get into a hug box in any topic, politics is what we're talking about at the moment, but any topic, you just listen to what's on repeat, and they tell you what you want to hear, and you don't have you don't have alternative opinions to assess, oh, am I actually correct about this? Should I assess this viewpoint a little bit better? Should I modify the way that I think about this? And yeah, so that's what happened. Like, and I just realized actually a lot of my like ideals are libertarian or progressive. Like, there's only a few conservative ideals I actually have. And I'm like, so I'm not really conservative. Like, so
so
that's what happened.
it's like, yeah, so it's like, I got to know Paul a lot better, and I consider Paul a really good friend of mine that is going to come to Texas and is going to, because he's racked up a bill with me and he has to go to death.
Therapy billion. That's it. Uh, no,
No, no,
I owe Dylan a fucking I know him like a feast.
before, because people
Point.
are going to ask that question. It's like, he and I have become really good friends. We've talked because, again, we have trauma bonded because I, the environment we both came in, again, we were a product of our environment. That's
Mm,
why what I see as Paul, like, and I can just say it, it's like if you've been to a hostile environment and then you just get out of it, of course you're going to be that way because you haven't had time to heal,
mm.
reflect, and everything. And the fact that you did the work and you're in a better place, that should be celebrated, man. It's like, yeah, that makes my heart happy because I'm just like, see, you got out of a bad place. Like, those things right there are meant to be celebrated. You're not that person anymore. You know what I mean?
I should clarify too. Our conversations have not been about that time.
Oh,
Like
no, no, no,
yeah,
no, no,
yeah.
no,
I
no.
should
Yeah,
clarify
no,
that we have not spoken about any of that because we don't care.
no,
Like,
no, no,
I
no.
don't
We
know
haven't.
anything
Like,
that's happening in that sphere. Like, people came at me and were like, "Oh, this thing's like this is reignited. This stuff that's happening." I'm like, I don't care. I don't want to know about it. Don't send me anything about it. I told Dylan, I'm like, I don't want to know about it, Dylan. I don't want to hear about it. I don't care what's happening. I don't want to see or hear anything to do with that. I don't care anymore. Um,
we,
like,
me
yeah,
and Paul, me and Paul have basically outs. We don't talk about that time anymore because me and him have both healed and moved on. What me and Paul have literally talked. Our conversation the last time was supposed to be like an hour, and it wound up being almost 6 hours of us just talking about life, personal. Um, It was a little bit of movie top, and for me, it was more foreign films because I was trying
Oh
to get
yeah,
us to do.
yeah. We were talking about like just, and it was not just
Yeah,
like it wasn't
yeah,
like
it
oh
was
let's hate on
live.
these things. It
No,
was
no,
like oh
no,
what
it
do
was
you
yeah,
like what are you into? And it was like yeah this is what I'm getting into so far.
yeah,
Like and
because
like yeah,
well, because everybody that knows has ever watched my streams knows I have my love of Peaky Blinders. And I told him that, and then he was like, "Oh, well, if you like those type," I was like, "I love foreign films," and we were talking about China. But anyways,
mm-hmm,
my basis for saying that is that for anybody that's ever wondered, we've moved past that time in our life, but I got to know Paul for who Paul is, and he got to know me and my story and everything, and that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I consider him, in my circle where it's like I have the great counsel that also knows me that way, that I'm very personal with them, that, that's my family. And so it's like to have this, it's like I can say that like that bad moment that started off as a bad streaming has ended in such a great note because I have so many great people that I have met that I do adore that are my rocks and that basically I can call or check in or like I'll do to Paul sometimes I'll check in on him like hey how are you doing or I'll send him a video and he's like how did you know and I'm like oh I know and so it's those moments that you find those great people. So if you find those great people that can literally keep it real with you, be honest with you, not sugarcoat it, those people that stay on the call when you really need them, those people that listen to you. Those are actual true friendships that you
yeah.
need to cherish. That's not fake. And
Yeah,
please,
Dylan said something like
yeah,
this the other day to me. He was like people like, and we talk about. I can talk about true love as in friendship. I can talk about true love as in a relationship, whatever it might be, right? But he's like, when you love somebody, he's like, when you love somebody, you're not just with them when it's easy. You're with them when it's tough, when it's hard. You don't run away when it's hard. And it's like, yeah. So friendships for me, it's like if you run away when it's hard, it's like okay, you're not ready to have like a actual open friendship. Like you're not like when you are vulnerable to somebody and you expose like your vulnerabilities or your um like who you are as a person, all your flaws are open like to that person, and they are like yeah okay, you're fucked up, we're all fucked up, like it's okay, like I still am still here, like if you need to speak, that's where friendship comes from. Like and that's Dylan and I are very brutally honest with each other. Like I'm just using him as an example because if he listens to this, Dylan,
yeah.
I'm not gonna expose you, buddy. I'm just using you as an example of like what it's been like for the last 6 months because Dylan's been there nearly every day, like for to listen to me talk about whatever I needed to talk about, to the point where he's sick of it. But like, but like at the early days, it was like it was good, you know. Um, so yeah, we encourage each other, which is what friends do as well. So
Oh.
yeah,
And it's just like it's one of those things where it's just like I will also say that when it comes to streaming, please know that if it's having an effect on your mental, your sleep, your family, yourself, taking care of yourself, taking care of your animals, your home, whatever it may be, unplug, touch grass, drink water, know that it's not real. Create those real friendships outside of streaming, outside of the internet and stuff like that. Now, I'm not saying it will people can say, well, you have friendships, that yes, but these are friendships that have turned now to IRL, and so these are friendships that have future dates of meetups and stuff like that. That's something different. But it's just like don't realize as streamers, as content creators, they are there and we are there to create content, to make you laugh, to make your day a little bit better, to have you escape for a little bit. But don't live in that world and don't think that it's real. We're just there for that short period of time just to take your mind off things. And
mm,
that's what a stream should be. It's comfy, just to take your mind off something, make you think of something different, or have a different opinion, make you think. Those are the great those streams that make you feel good at the end of it. Make you laugh, do those type of things, but they should never have a negative emotional impact on your life because once they do, That's your signal and your mental signal for you to stop, unplug, take a breather, and then come back. Remember, they're always going to be there. And never do anything just because somebody else is doing it or because you want to be liked or for clicks. Because try in this world, be something different, be authentic. Don't be like everybody else.
Mm,
And I think at the end of that, it's like all of us can agree on that. It's like, make sure that if you are going to stream or you are going to post on social media, what's the intent behind your post? What's your intent behind that video or that stream? If it's negative or if it's just you're taking your emotions out on somebody else because you're having a bad day, then you need to stop because you should not do that. You should not spread negativity. Energy, transfer. You should never do that.
mm.
And don't do that. Just basically at that point in time, you need to know, hey, how do I basically go ahead and de-stress myself because I'm about to engage in something negative and I need to basically internally work on myself. And once you want to do the work, then it'll be good. But yeah,
Yeah, I
it just
totally
it's all
agree.
like
I think,
yeah, because like
yeah, I think that, yeah, I think that people take stuff way too seriously. I think people need to just take a chill pill, take a back seat. But again, like it's harder for, I guess, people that have gone through like sort of trauma to sort of to get get through that. Like I said, my experience of like uploading that video and having a panic attack, like it's just, like it's just giving that I guess giving that life again to something that I put to death. And so yeah, it's one of those things. It's experimentation and all those things. I don't know what's going to happen, but that's exciting too. But yeah, I do agree. Like there's the future is better than what the past was, and I think if we're looking towards the future, um, we're we're planning for
yeah.
something, planning for good things. And yeah, always touch
And
grass.
remember, yeah, always touch grass. Remember, and I can always say to you, like, remember, not everybody deserves an explanation. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Not everybody is going to care or watch it with authenticity.
yeah,
They're going to watch it with negativity.
mm,
So sometimes writing that letter to yourself to say, I'm sorry for not, being there for my inner child,
mm,
or writing that letter to a significant other that, an ex or an ex friend or whatever, that, I'm sorry or this is closure and never mailing it off.
yeah,
Or that video you never go ahead and send out to the world, but is just for you to view.
yeah,
Those closures for that person that you were in the past and to basically forgive yourself
mm,
and move. And so that's how you have to think about it. It's like nobody needs the explanation because remember, not everybody's entitled to that. You know what I mean? Don't give them that portion of you. They don't need to know that.
yeah.
They
It's
just need
true.
they just need to see who you are from this point forward. And remember, you owe nobody any explanation for unplugging or not streaming.
Yeah,
Nobody.
yeah,
So again, like I said, unless they're paying your bills
mm,
or significant other or family member,
yeah,
it does matter. If it's not, you don't need to you don't need to give anybody an explanation. Not everybody's entitled to it, and not everybody deserves it.
yeah.
So know the limits too online.
Mm, I agree. Well,
Yeah.
that's a good place. That's a good thingo to leave it. So we're hitting almost 2 hours, which has gone by, flown by. I got to be honest. In conversation, I think we could talk a long time about this sort of stuff. But what I will do before we sign out of the thing is because Stormy, we do have sponsors for the stream. Funnily enough, we do have some funny sponsors. It's sponsored by depression, anxiety, and good conversation. So um, anybody that's dealing with those things, go see a therapist. Like get centered. I cannot recommend it enough. See your whole self, and like self care, self love. Like you cannot love someone effectively without loving yourself first. And that's one of the biggest life lessons I've learned through going through therapy. So with that being said, this was Stormy talking about GTA and role playing, her ins and outs of that, and why she quit it essentially for the time being, and also talking about social media. And then we also had a really good conversation about mental health and the streaming world, which I think we have both been in and out of for the past couple of years, pandemic wise. So thanks everyone for watching up to I should say listening up to this point, because I don't know what I'm going to do with the visuals if I put it up on YouTube, but we'll see. But thank you, and thank you, Stormy, for coming.
Wonderful.
And yeah, I'll see you on the next one. I'm hoping to grab somebody for another one fairly soon, but this will be probably once a week thing, I think. Anyway, thank you everyone for listening, and this is the Asking Questions podcast, signing out.